So you're going to look at structure of the proteins and then enzymes as a protein and then hormones as a protein. So proteins are made up of carbons, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. We know this, that all organic molecules are made up of carbon and hydrogen, then plus oxygen and nitrogen, depending on which organic molecule is that. They also contain elements of sulfur, phosphorus, and iron. So it could have, a protein molecule could have sulfur, it could have phosphorus, it could have iron, depending on the function it is designated to do. So the building blocks of proteins, the monomers, you need to know what are the building blocks of protein. We call them amino acid. Basically, proteins, they have a property that if you change the pH and temperature, they will also change. So if you put a protein in acidic medium when it is supposed to be in alkaline medium, it will be denatured. It will change the nature. Call it denaturation. If it's supposed to be in an optimum temperature and then you increase above optimum temperature, then it's gonna be still, it's gonna change the what? The structure. So still we will say that it has been denatured or it has undergone denaturation. Changing the pH and changing the temperature of the medium will affect the way how these proteins function. High salt concentration will also affect them. Then it means that it needs a specific amount of salt it's supposed to work in properly. If it is an enzyme, it has a specific amount of salt. Above that salt, then it will not work properly. Below that salt, it will not work properly. What are some of the uses of proteins? Proteins have different uses. Stores potential energy. It stores energy. When the fats have been used up, when the carbohydrates have been used up, then the next source of energy is going to be proteins. And then when you start using the proteins, now you see that the person starts to decrease in size, becomes like the meat starts to disappear. It means that carbohydrates have been used up, fats have been used up. Now, also source of amino acids. When you eat protein foods, you will get different amino acids. There are some amino acids which are produced inside the body, the others which you obtain from outside. So when you eat proteins, you'll be able to get those amino acids which cannot be synthesized by our body. Provide structure. As I say that the proteins make up the biggest, big percentage of our cells. The structure of our cells are made up of proteins. Then they provide support. Since it make up the structure of the cell, then obviously it provides support. Then transport is very important for transportation. For example, hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is the red substance which is found in the blood. It's the substance which makes the blood to be red. It does not necessarily mean that blood is supposed to be red. You find out insects have blood. Is it red? No, it's not red. So it's the hemoglobin which makes it to be red. So hemoglobin is very important in transporting oxygen and carbon dioxide in the body. So proteins can be used as a transport mean. Yeah, we say that hormones are examples of proteins, and the hormones are organic chemicals. They are very important in bringing about changes in the body of individuals. Yes, and plants. So they can bring about growth, they can bring about production of milk in ladies, they can bring about change in your appearance, provide protection. Proteins have a very important role in protecting us from diseases. Speed up the chemical reaction. Now we are talking about when they speed up chemical reaction, then it means that those are enzymes. So enzymes are very important in speeding up the rate of chemical reaction. And then lastly, allow movement through membranes. You have what called the globular proteins, which are very important in transmitting or transporting the substances across the membrane. Lack of proteins will cause what you call kwashiorkor, or it can lead to marasmus. How do you test for proteins? You can test for proteins if you use the Miron's reagent. If it is positive, it's gonna be wine red. It means that it's gonna be red. It's gonna look like wine. That's why it's called the wine red. So if it is positive, then it's gonna look red. If it is negative, it's gonna remain white, or it's gonna be creamy. So it means that if you add Miron's reagent in a sample containing proteins, it's gonna turn red. And if you add Miron's reagent in a sample without proteins, so it's gonna look white. That's the meaning. Then Buret's test. Buret's test, Buret's test is made up of sodium hydroxide and copper 2 sulfate. So when you add this Buret's test in a sample containing protein, it's gonna look violet to purple. So it's gonna look purple. It's gonna appear purple. And then if it's negative, it's gonna remain blue. So if the protein is present, it becomes purple. If the protein is absent, it is blue, as long as you use Buret's test. But if you use Miron's test, then it changes to these colors. If you use Buret's test, then it changes to these colors. So you have to know which test they have used.